everyone. I hope you're doing well. This is Ganga, Biology faculty, Orchids the International School. So today we will be discussing about the CBSE board paper which has happened on February 20th. We will be reviewing biology questions from this question paper. Fine. Let us move on. So the first question of biology, you can see it's a match the following. Column 1 and column 2 is given. We will segregate first what is there in the column 1 and what is there in the column 2. We will combine, then we will find out the answer. So site of fertilization of egg with the sperm. So this happens in oviduct. So one second. Yeah, this happens in oviduct. Second, site of implementation of the embryo, that happens in uterus. Site of entry of sperm into the female reproductive tract, that happens in, you might be confused with vagina and the cervix. But actually, since it is mentioned female reproductive tract, so that happens in the vagina, so that will be option 3. Fourth one, site through which the waste materials generated by the developing embryo are removed. So that happens by placenta. So option is, you can see, option D. A is 3, B is 2, C is 1 and D is 4. So option D is the correct one. Fine, I hope you have done this. So next, we will move on to the next MCQ. That is the 7th question in the paper. The part of the hindbrain controlling involuntary actions such as salivation and vomiting in the humans. So, we have 4 different parts we have known already in the brain: cerebellum, cerebrum, pons and medulla. But involuntary actions like salivation, involuntary actions like salivation and vomiting is under the control of medulla. So option D is correct in this question. We will be moving on to the next MCQ, that is 8th one in the paper. Select a pair of bisexual flowers from the following. Bisexual flowers are nothing but both male and female organs should be there in the flower. So pistil as well as the stamen part will be there. So those are called as bisexual flower. So here papaya, mustard and hibiscus papaya, hibiscus watermelon, hibiscus and mustard are given. So we know in our textbooks it is given hibiscus is a bisexual flower. So mustard is a bisexual flower. Whereas papaya have unisexual flowers and watermelon also have unisexual flower. So the option B is correct. Okay, so this is the correct answer. Next MCQ in biology is 9th question in the paper. If you observe, the plant hormone present in the greater concentration in the areas of rapidly dividing cells. Rapidly dividing cells, those are the hormones which are responsible are cytokinin. Cytokinin helps in cell division. So this helps in multiplication of the cell and it helps in the growth. So rapid dividing cells are under the control of cytokinin hormone. Clear? We will move on to the next MCQ, that is the 10th one. Temporary finger-like extension on the cell surface to take in food is formed in. So temporary finger-like projections, I hope you remember. So it's the finger-like projection, it is formed by amoeba. These are called as pseudopodia. So paramecium doesn't form any pseudopodia, leishmania doesn't have, and rhizopus, it's a fungi. So the option B is the correct answer for it. Okay. This is the easiest MCQ. which you had in your papers. So the 16th question is, other than the abiotic components, which of the given biotic components are not required to make an aquarium with small herbivore fishes a self-sustaining system? We have to identify which are the requirement it is necessary for constructing an aquarium. So there are 4 options are given: aquatic plants and aquatic animals. Yes, when we are constructing aquarium, we require this. Terrestrial plants and terrestrial animals. Do you really think terrestrial plants and terrestrial animals is required to create an aquarium? So this we doesn't require. Then third one, decomposers as bacteria and fungi, because to continue the cycle where decomposers are important, wherein bacteria will decompose those material. So we'll keep this. Next we'll see consumers as clownfish and sea urchins. These clownfishes and sea urchins are not small herbivore fishes, small herbivore organism which we can keep it in aquarium. So this we doesn't require. So if we look at the option D and the fourth one, that is second one and third one, we don't require. So the option is D. Clear? So these are the few questions of MCQs. Next we will move on to assertion and reasoning. Here in this assertion and reasoning, let us read towards the 17th question in the paper. In our actions of writing or talking hours, nervous system communicates with the muscles. Reason is cranial nerves and spinal nerves form the peripheral nervous system. See, both the assertion and the reason are correct, but reason is not correct explanation for the given assertion. So option is B. Okay. So the next assertion and reasoning question which was there in the paper is, use of jute bags for shopping reduces pollution. Reason is jute is biodegradable and its bag may be reused and when needed. So obviously jute is a biodegradable substance, and whenever we require we can reuse it, or if it is thrown also it is degradable in the soil. So we can consider that reason is a good explanation for the assertion. So answer is both assertion and the reason are true, and reason is the correct explanation for the given assertion. So MCQ section was bit easier, excluding 1 or 2 questions which was of match the following and all. I hope you have done well. We will move on to the second section, section B. It have 2 marks. So let us see what are the questions which are from section B. So the first question, that is the 23rd question in the paper, state the main functions of arteries. Why do they have thick and elastic walls? So why the arteries have elastic walls, and what are their functions we have to write. If you remember in the last video also we have discussed about this. The main function of the artery is to carry oxygenated blood which is away from the heart to the rest of the body, and they have thick walls to withstand the high pressure. When the heart when the blood is moving away from the heart, it creates a high pressure on the walls of the blood vessels. So to withstand that, arteries have a thick wall. Okay, so these, since it is of 2 marks, you just have to maintain a very crisp answers. See, what is the function of artery? You have to write they carry the oxygenated blood away from the heart, and why they have thick walls? Because to withstand a high pressure. So if you write this much, you will get complete 2 mark. Okay, we will be moving on to the next question, that is 24th question. It have 2 parts. For 2 mark, you are supposed to answer 2 different questions. So first question, explain how the proteins control the characteristics in an organism with the help of an example of short height trait in a pea plant. So here they are talking about for the short heighted plant, that is a trait, short height is a trait in the pea plant, how the proteins are responsible. Let us see the answer. The proteins, they control the characteristics in organisms, we all know that. Okay, organisms, they perform specific function with the body which are dictated by the genes. Each gene have their own code for each particular character. For example, since they have asked a pea plant, we have to take an example. Example, pea plant, the short height is the trait which is controlled by a specific protein. So that regulates the production of the growth hormones in that particular plant, where a mutated gene which is coding for this protein results in the less hormone production that leads to the shorter plant. So these are the keywords you need to highlight. You need to explain how the protein which is responsible for the short-heighted pea plant is responsible for its controlling the characteristics. Okay. So the next one in 24B option is there. Name the information source of making proteins in a cell. The information protein which are there in the cells are DNA, deoxyribose nucleic acid. If you just write DNA also, you'll get marks, and you have to elaborate it like deoxyribose nucleic acid, that also you will get mark. So these are the two questions, so each carries 1 mark. Fine. I know this is a bit tricky question, so you need to understand the question properly, then only you could have able to done this. So the next section C, we have 3 mark questions. So some questions have 3 sub questions, each carrying 1 mark. So 29th question in the paper, the first one, enlist any 2 nitrogenous waste products removed from the blood of the human kidney. From the kidney, which are the 2 nitrogenous waste products which are removed that we have to mention. So the 2 waste products are urea and ammonium. These are the 2 nitrogenous forms of waste which are produced in the kidney. So that will carry 1 mark. So the next one is, name the capillary cluster formed by the branch of renal artery in the Bowman's capsule. You might be knowing this is the Bowman's capsule in the nephron. So there will be capillary structures. So the capillary clusters which are formed by the branch of renal artery in the Bowman's capsule, we call this as glomerulus. So that carries 1 mark. So C, depict in the form of a flow chart the path of the urine formed in each kidney until it is finally passed out through the urethra. So here you have to make a flow chart. I've just shown it here. Just observe this. Yeah. So bloodstream, it enters the glomerulus. It is the capillary cluster in the nephron. So then filtration will happen. The sugar, the water, the salts, they will get separated from into the Bowman's capsule. Then it goes to renal tubule and it enters the renal pelvis, ureter and urinary bladder, urethra, and it comes out through the urethra. Okay, if you just write these points in the form of flow chart, that will be more than enough. Okay, this also carries 1 mark. So basically this is a 3 mark question which had A, B and C. So for flow chart, if you write only this much, you will get that 1 mark. Clear? We will move on to the next 3 marker question. Here, this is from heredity chapter. A pure pea plant having round. So we can write it. Let me change the color. Yeah. A pure pea plant having round and pure. Since they are mentioning pure, let us write quickly double R. Okay. And yellow also, capital Y, capital Y. Seeds, it is crossed with the another pure plant having wrinkled and green. We know this, we have this in our books. So this shows the dominant characters and this shows the recessive characters. Right? So next continuation of the question. Subsequently, F1 progeny is self-pollinated. When these two crossed and self-pollinated, to obtain what we get? We get F2 progeny also. So based on this, it is basically a dihybrid cross, which is there in our books. Okay. So considering this dihybrid cross, let us answer. What do the seeds of F1 generation look like? So you are supposed to write what are the F1 generation there. So F1 generation, when you cross capital R, capital Y, capital Y, small r, small y. So what we get? Capital R, capital Y and the small y. It's a heterozygous round and yellow seeds, right? So that is the answer. Capital R, capital Y and the small y. That's the answer for the first question. The next question, let us read the second question. Give the possible combinations of traits in the seeds of F2 generation. Also give the ratio. If you well versed with the dihybrid cross of with round and yellow seeds, you can answer directly. If not, you roughly you can work it. You might have worked over there. You can expect this. This is the F1 generation. This will be the answer for the first one. Yeah. Since we are talking about the second question, they are asking what are the possible gametes we will observe in the F2 generation. So round and yellow, when you cross it, first take out the gametes. These are the gametes from this. The same gamete, since it is a self-pollination, the same gamete goes for this column also. When you cross capital Y and capital Y, you will get a round and yellow. So round and yellow, then cross this and this, capital Y and small y and capital Y and capital R. When you keep crossing this, you will get all these options. So according to this tabular column, we get round and yellow and round and green. You can find round and green. We will get round and yellow, wrinkled and yellow, then wrinkled and green. So count how many round yellow you got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9. So next round and green. 1, 2, 3. So 3. Next is wrinkled yellow. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3. Next wrinkled green is 1. So the answer is 9 is to 3 is to 3 is to 1. Since they ask for ratio, you have to write these are the gametes which are available and this is the ratio. Okay, this is the answer for the second question. Let us see the third question. State the reason of obtaining seeds of new combination of traits in F2 generation. Here you have to give the reason why you got different combinations in the F2 generation. So if you observe, this is basically of independent assortment. You must be learnt about laws of genetics. In that there is a law which states that each allele have the ability to divide among themselves and separate and segregate and combine with the other allele. So independent assortment is the reason for the formation of new gametes. That I have written here in the form of a statement. Go through it. But the reason is independent assortment. This you need to mention, then only you will get that 1 mark. Okay. These are the 2 questions of 3 marks. Fine. We will move on to the next section. There's one more 3 mark question in section C. Again it is divided into 2. First is in a food chain, energy flow is unidirectional. Give 2 reasons for the given statement. So they are saying that in a food chain, energy flow is unidirectional, in one direction itself. What is the reason for that? So one is energy flow in the food chain is unidirectional because energy is transferred from one tropic level to next tropic level in a single direction. In only one direction only it will flow. That's the one reason. Energy is lost as the heat at each tropic level. When it is transferring from one tropic level to the second tropic level, it loses some amount of energy. Okay, that is the reason why the energy flow is unidirectional. Clear? So the next, these are the 2 points you need to mention in the answer. Second question, if 10,000 joules of energy is available at the producer level. Imagine at the producer level they are given 10,000 joules of energy. Okay, how much energy will be available to the secondary consumers? Give reason to justify your answer. So in the producer level there is 10,000 joules of energy. They are asking not the primary consumer, we have to find it for secondary consumers. So 10,000, we know 10% law. According to this, 10% of 10,000 is 1000 joules for the primary consumer. From this it goes 10% to again secondary consumer. So 10% of 1000 is 100 joules. So the answer is, if the 10,000 joules of energy is available at the producer level, only 100 joules will be available at the secondary consumer. If you know this formula and how to apply this 10% law, it will be easier to find out the answer. And usually you will answer this, you will forget this. I hope you might have done this correctly. Give reasons to justify your answer. You need to tell why it is 100 joules. Then explain. At the producer level, we have 10,000 joules. As per the 10% law rule, at each level only 10% of the energy will be passed on. So according to that, the secondary consumer will receive 100 joules. That is what I have written in this statements. Okay, just go through the answer. You will get the explanation whatever I have done it now. Okay, just you should put it in the statements. If you have done this, you will get 3 marks. Since this question have 2 parts, give reasons as well as to find out how many joules will be there for the secondary consumers. So this B part will be having 2 marks. The first question will be having 1 mark. Total 3 mark of question it is. Okay. We will move on to the next section. The next section is section D. It carries 5 marks. So there are different parts like A, B, C. There are the questions are divided. The marks is divided among the question. Let us see the first question. That is 36th question. Have 2 questions. 36A. Let us see. In that, the first one is identify the parts of X and Y in the given figure. This is the given figure. You have to identify what is X and what is Y. If you know very well the transverse section of the flower, you can able to identify what is X. X is the pistil in that stamen. Sorry, stigma it is. Sorry, my bad. It's stigma. It's the female part of the flower. So Y, if you observe, it is anther. You just have to identify what is X and what is Y. X is stigma and Y is anther. Question number 2. Name the yellowish colored structures produced by the part labeled as Y. We know we have labeled Y as anther. Anther produces yellowish structures. Those are called as pollens. So we have to name what are those yellowish structures. So those yellowish structures are produced by the part Y are pollen grains. So that carries 1 mark each. Next, write the name of the process by which these are transferred to the part labeled as X. What was X? X was stigma in the picture. So the question is asking what is the process wherein Y will get white transfers those yellowish structures to the X part. That is, pollen grains are transferred to stigma. So that process we call it as pollination. So we have answered 3. So 3 mark. Each question carries 1. So next, the question which is there, that is the 4th question. It carries 2 mark. It carries 2 mark. So what is that question? Explain the process of seed formation in flowering plant. So we need to explain in point wise. As I said in the previous video also, whenever you answer any big questions, you are supposed to write the answers in a point wise. So I have put the points here. First is pollination process will happen. Pollen is carried to the stigma of the flower by pollinating agents. It may be a wind, it may be a water, it may be insect or any other animal. First is pollination process will happen. After pollination, pollen tube will grow and it reaches the ovary. When it reaches the ovary, pollen tube bursts out into the embryo sac. Then it enters the ovule part. The male nucleus, that is the nucleus of the pollen, from the pollen grain joins with the female nucleus, that is in the ovule. This forms a diploid zygote. Diploid means complete zygote will be formed, and it is also called as a fertilized egg. A complete number of chromosomes will be there. That's why we call it as a diploid, which will develop into a seed further. The fertilized ovule divides by mitosis process. Then the ovule develops into a seed inside the fruit, whereas ovary develops into fruit. So this, you might be knowing the double fertilization. That answer you are supposed to write here along with the pollination process. So this, if you write these points, at least 7 to 8 points, by explaining all this right from the pollination process till the double fertilization and post fertilization also, like ovary develops into a fruit and all, you will get complete 2 marks. So there is an OR question for this 5 marker question. So you can answer that or this question. Let us see what is this question. The OR question is first one. Name the type of asexual mode of reproduction shown in the given figure. This is the given figure and you have to identify what type of asexual mode of reproduction it is happening. First, if you know asexual types of reproduction, you can answer this very easily. So it is binary fission. You can see this organism is dividing into 2. So that's why it is binary fission. So this is the answer for the first one. For the second question is talking about identify the unicellular organism in the diagram. You have to identify which organism it is. You might be knowing it is Leishmania. So one word answers all this. It is very easy. The next one, list any 2 advantages of asexual reproduction over sexual reproduction. You have to write 2 advantages of asexual reproduction over the sexual reproduction. Why it is important? What is the advantage of it? So the first advantage if you talk about is population can increase very rapidly. That is an advantage over the sexual reproduction. The second one is only one parent is required. Here not 2 parents are required. So these 2 small points if you write also, you will get a complete mark. The fourth question was name and explain any one mode of asexual reproduction observed in Hydra. So now we are supposed to explain, since it is of a 2 mark, you need to draw the diagram also and you need to explain. The other mode of reproduction what Hydra, the primary mode of reproduction what Hydra have is budding, right? You need to explain the budding in Hydra with the diagram. So how you will explain? You put it in 2 points. The primary mode of asexual reproduction observed in Hydra is budding, whereas a small outgrowth will happen, that we call it as bud. You can see here in the diagram. and develops into a parent. Further, once it completely grows with the tentacles, mouth and all, it eventually detach from the parents. So if you draw this diagram and these 2 points, it will be more than enough for your answer. So these two are the 5-mark questions. You had 2 options. One is about the flower structure and the different parts, and about leishmania and the budding. So if you answered any one which you are well versed with it, you will get the complete marks. Okay, we will move on to the last section, that is section E. So let us see what are those questions. So the last section is section E. It is case-based study question. So let us read what is the given case. A person while climbing up a rocky hill comes into a panic state and fear. His body start reacting in a flight or flight condition to adjust to a dangerous and a stressful situation. Based on the above facts, answer the questions that follow. They have given a case, and based on this we need to answer these. For the first question you have option. Let us see what is that. The first question, name the hormone secreted in the blood of the person in this situation. When you are in a fight or flight mode, so which hormone is released? So adrenaline is the hormone. We all know this, which is released from the adrenal glands. The next question, there is an or option. Either you answer the first one or go for the second one. Name the source gland of the hormone secreted in the condition. Adrenaline, it secretes from the adrenal glands. You just have to write either adrenaline or adrenal glands. So the next B question, state any 2 responses in the body of the person as a result of secretion of this hormone. When you are in fight or flight situation, what are the changes which occur in the body? So those 2 changes which occur in the body is, one is heart rate will increase and breathing rate will increase. If you write these 2, you will get complete 1-mark question. Next option, third question is, how does the action of the chemical signal in terms of hormones differ from the electrical impulse via nerve cells? Here you have to tell how hormones are differ from the nerve signals. So it is not given in the passage, but it is related to the passage. Let us see. See, these chemical signals like hormones, they travel directly through the bloodstream. Whereas if you see the nerve cells, the nerve impulses and all, they move through each and every nerve cell. So chemical signals like hormones travel through the bloodstream and can reach the distance throughout the body, resulting in a slower and long lasting responses. Whereas when we compare to the electrical impulse in the nerve cells, which is faster, okay, they target a specific site, specific locations due to their direct transmission to that particular location. Whereas hormones, they distribute in the bloodstream, so it takes time to go and reach there. Whereas nerve impulses, it is directed towards one particular organ, so the signals will through nerve cells will be faster. If you write these 2 points, you will get 2 mark. So this is a 4-mark question section. Last section, that is case study based section. So these are the few questions you can observe in your board, you observed in your board paper. Let us see what are the weightage you got in this chapter. So weightage chapters according to the questions which are there in the question paper. If you see, life processes had 6 marks, control and coordination 7 marks, how do organisms reproduce 7 mark, our environment 5 mark, heredity 5 mark. Total of 30 marks of biology questions you observed in the present question paper. I hope you might have done well. All the best for your results. Thank you.